Well, it's been just over a month now since we last recorded. How crazy is that?
Absolutely wild, yeah.
And it's been the most densely packed month that I've had this year. So I remember I think it might have been last episode saying like, oh, you know, it's been the first 6 months of the year and I've done like 8 weddings or whatever. And I've done the same amount in the last month as I did in the first 6 months of the year. So
that's crazy.
Yeah.
I've been on holiday.
Yeah. That's a good point. We haven't recorded since you've been away.
No, I haven't, no.
Yeah.
And it's really odd because I feel that we had the holiday camera episode, non-work camera episode, whatever you want to kind of talk about that. And then I feel there's been some kind of rebuttal since then, like things that we spoke about in that episode. I feel like it came like about 2 weeks too early.
Yeah.
Because then the new Sony RXR got announced, didn't it?
Oh, yeah, it did,
the week after the episode got recorded.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that camera's for me. I think that's a contender now. Like after I was like,
$6,000, isn't it?
I might buy a Q3 if I had the money. I could buy that if I had the money.
Yeah.
All of the things that I think that kind of we were talking about the most complete camera, weren't we? Or think something you could buy that would do everything.
Yeah.
Like I think for that camera for me, like it could be you could justify it because you could take it to weddings. It'd be a great holiday camera.
Oh, that's really interesting. I didn't realise you were into this camera because I thought it looks good, but it's well overpriced. But
the only thing for me that I haven't looked this far into it. Well, I'll say that's far into it. I had a conversation with Josh about it and he couldn't confirm. He's normally like, you or him are my go-to tech people. Like I don't have to read stuff. I can just go, what's it like? And they'll go, oh, it's this.
Yeah.
If it had 2 card slots,
oh, okay.
I could leave my A7 IV and 35 at home and choose that. It's half the size.
I don't know either, actually.
And it would be a great holiday camera.
I've avoided videos on it because I'm like, it's just, I don't
But as a holiday camera, I think that would have been a really, really cool thing to kind of, to take. So that kind of came out of the last episode. I really enjoyed that episode.
And you've been away and you ended up shooting a lot of film away, didn't you?
I ended up shooting a mix in the end. So I took my film camera with me, but I also took the Leica with me as well and did shoot an even amount of both. I had a really interesting floor that I got there on the first day. We were going to go to the beach, like really cool rocks and stuff. I was like, I'm going to take my film camera. Pulled it out of my bag, it wouldn't turn on. And I was oh, rubbish. And then the battery had gone in it. So then the first 2 days that we were away, I had to wait till we actually went back enough to civilization that I could go to a Tesco's and buy the little button, like pill-sized battery that it takes.
Oh, it's one of those, yeah.
Yeah, for the meter to actually
like we put in an AirTag or a watch.
Pretty much,
kind of thing,
So it takes one of those enough that then the meter would actually work in it so I could shoot some film for the remainder that we were away.
Yeah.
But I did, and I got the next back the other day, and really pleased. Again, just the process, I think, of using the film camera away was really nice. Also,
it was a slow holiday, wasn't it? It was like a more relaxed, chilled, so you could probably pick up the camera and like spend a little bit of time just trying to figure out what
and it was a lot more. Again, like we went to like a little cabin literally in a field in Devon, and so a lot of what we did was like, we're going to go on walks or we're going to go to the beach. It wasn't like going to Disney where it's like, I'm going to try and manually focus on a roller coaster which is moving at 70 miles an hour. So it was very much the camera for the trip that we had.
Yeah, definitely.
And just kind of a slow mindful break to kind of have a camera that I didn't even take the film camera that I take to weddings with me. I took another one which is like manual focus and stuff like that. So again, it was a really kind of slowed down process and just kind of very much a camera reflective of the holiday.
It was, definitely. Yeah. So we're going to like have a little bit of a catch up this episode and just talk about some of the things that we've done over the last month and things that we've learnt and little stories that we've got as well, which I quite like.
Yeah, I think it's been a wild ride, hasn't it? Like you've done marginally more weddings than I have. Like even though I had a week off, I've still shot 5 weddings I think since we spoke, where you've done double that.
I've done 8 and one of them was my triple, which was intense.
So.
And I know like people do more than 3 in a row and that kind of stuff. I found this one crazy. But
also I think that it's worth saying that logistically they were spread as well, weren't they? It wasn't like you were staying at hotels in between and stuff like that, weren't you? So I've sort of decided for my triples that I'm gonna stay in a hotel for one of the nights to help me out, and it's not look like they're so far away from my house that I need to stay in a hotel, and it's only like a Purple Palace or Premier Inn or whatever, but it's a case of one of them was an hour east of me and the next one was an hour and a half west. And then the next one was like only half an hour north of where I live, right? Yeah. But so between the second and the third one, I'd basically offered to stay a bit late, which is because the couple had basically asked. It was a venue I really like. It was a castle, and the couple had basically asked, we're going to do these sparklers out the front of the castle this late at night, and like the business side of me is like, do I charge extra for this? But also, if they didn't go for it, I'd have been gutted I didn't capture it. I remember us having a conversation about this, didn't we? It was either before pod or like over text.
Yeah.
And you kind of having that quandary of like the numbers person, the business person in me saying that I am staying late. Yeah. But then I kind of tried to reframe it to you. And I'm not saying that I'm the reason that you did it, but
like kind of almost offering you that devil's advocate point, and it was like, you're not just staying for a sparkler walk, which you've done countless times before. Like they are having like the destination style, like cold like,
sparks out front of the castle,
really, like
to
at the
light
front
up
of
the whole castle.
a venue that you want to go back to. So it's like
Yeah.
you would pay that much money to have that material in your pocket. So it's like, although you're not getting actual money from it, you're not having to pay out to get something which is pretty unique content, isn't it? So, but again, it still means that on a triple header weekend, you're staying much later than you normally would.
And I offered this before I booked the Sunday wedding, the last day, basically. So I was like, oh, it's fine. Like it's at the back end of a double. I'll stay till 10, get the sparks, head home, and I'll have the next day off. And then obviously I got an inquiry for that Sunday. That was the one, I'm not sure if I mentioned it on the pod, where they were just like, I had a call with them and they just like, we just want you. So like, it's not that like, if we don't get a videographer, it might not be you at all. Sorry, if we don't get you, it might not be a videographer at all, but we want you, sort of thing. And I was like, oh, but it's the back end of a triple. Like you can't afford like my lower package, so I'm going to have to do a discount for you, that kind of thing. But then like they explained all the stuff that they wanted, and they were like, we love the energy you bring, we love this reel and all that stuff, and we just basically want you to come and bring some energy to our wedding.
Spice wedding film fans.
They were, exactly, they were.
And I think that goes such a long way, doesn't it? Like sometimes.
And I was like, oh, okay, then I'll book you in. And like the bride literally like burst into tears on the call, and it's just such a nice feeling like to have that, even though I'd had to bolt it onto the end of a triple and have that and do a little bit of a discount for him. But it was so worth it.
I think that's good though, isn't it, to have that one at the end of a triple as well. So even if you are tired, you know that they're so thankful for you being there. That although they booked you because they love the energy that you bring, but you know that when they're kind of sending gratitude and like, you know, you walk in and they're so excited for you to be there, that really helps, doesn't it, kind of keep you going?
Yeah. And it was so different as well to the Saturday and the Sunday. Like the Saturday was obviously like the Friday was like what you'd consider just like a normal wedding. It was like a barn. It was nice. It was a lovely day. The Saturday was a big castle, 150 person. Wow, you know, the ones that are like stacked with like the timeline's pretty stacked as well, with you're constantly on the go. And then we hit the evening where we went off to get some photos, and the bride like got unwell. I won't go into too much detail, but the bride got unwell, and basically that then delayed everything. So then it's 10:30, 11 o'clock before we're even doing the sparkler thing. Wow, because it delayed the first dance and all of that kind of stuff. So I get back to the hotel room at like midnight, because I've booked again, I could have gone home and then travelled to the venue, and it wouldn't have added much time. But what I wanted is a place where I could go, it'd be completely quiet. I wouldn't have to do like I know this is silly, but like I wouldn't have to do like go home and like feed the cats and catch up with Kate, and all of that. Like, I'd literally have to go to the hotel, sit down. You never kind of come out of work mode,
do you? Again, if you come home, it's easy to go, and I've done that times where I've walked in the doors here, the dog's leapt at you, I've literally just chucked my bags in the corner and go, I'm just going to sit down for 5 minutes and have a catch up with Ro, or say and like pet the dog on the head, and then I'll go back up. And before you know it, it's 45 minutes later, I still haven't moved. And then I was like, now I've got to go back to work and do this. So where you kind of still feel that,
all your stuff.
You almost actively making that decision to kind of stay away from home, but for all of the kind of well-being reasons as well as kind of work efficiency, really.
Exactly.
It does make sense.
And it was definitely needed on that night as well. Like I finished transferring stuff at about 1 a.m.
Wow.
And then obviously had to get up like next morning to go to the one on the Sunday, and that was like completely the opposite way. Like the venue was still absolutely lush, but it was at Avington Park, and but it was like the opposite. It was like 40 guests maybe, but they were all like really like high energy guests. Like they were all just having an absolute great time with each other. They were quite close to each other and that kind of thing. So
they're my kind of weddings, those smaller guest numbers. Like I think as somebody, and we spoke about it on the pod before, someone that doesn't like to use seconds or likes to kind of really go and get involved with a wedding, I like to kind of feel that over the course of the day I do need to get to know people, and with 100+ guests you can't do it. And I think again, because I don't only work solo, most of my weddings are maximum kind of 70-80 guests, but those kind of smaller ones, I do kind of feel that you do get, although you're much more of a presence and it's harder to be unseen sometimes, you do kind of become sort of one of them much easier.
Definitely.
Because you kind of are a bigger percentage of who's there.
It's so easy to integrate, isn't it, into a day like that, and people sort of respect you more or see you more because you're there.
But I think also, that takes sometimes a greater degree of energy, where 150 wedding, you can just blend in if you want to, or if you snuck off for a wee and like a drink for 5 minutes, probably no one missed you were gone. But when you're in, everyone stood in a courtyard and you like, it's well, where is Tom? Like, because you're much more easier to be seen, aren't you? So you are kind of like under that kind of like work mode all of the time.
And you sort of notice it when you stop and have conversations with people. Like there was a couple of times on the Sunday where like you just stop and have a full-on chat with the bride, and it's be like, oh, it's been 10 minutes, you should probably go back to your guests. But if it was like 150 people wedding, you don't really get that, because they're literally like so busy talking to everyone. So you get that like couple shoot or whatever, and you get a nice little chat between those little moments. But where it's like, oh, we've chatted to everyone, we had yesterday with all the 40 guests anyway, so today's just like a bit of extra thing for us. And like, because I had to go into like Spice Wedding Films mode or whatever, like where I was like, where their only brief for me was, please bring the energy, do your thing, we want all of the fun crazy stuff that you do. And like, as much as some people might find it a bit much on a wedding day, that is kind of the bits that I love. Like when the sun started setting, it was like, right, to the bride, it's time, let's do it. Get out there. There wasn't any bridesmaids, so I was just like, bring your bride squad, whoever was getting ready with you in the morning. There was about 8 of them, all in like different really colourful dresses and stuff. Bring the groom and the groomsmen out, and we'll get some shots together. And it starts off a bit like, oh yeah, just like look at each other and laugh, and they'll be like, oh, this is weird. But then when you start getting into a bit like, let's just do some crazy stuff, that's like, forget the formalities of a wedding and just enjoy yourself. Like, we just had so much fun. It's good. Which
is good though, when you know as well that that's exactly what they've seen from your films and exactly why they've booked you. So it's like, you need peak all of that in the film, but they almost, you guys kind of using your kind of personality or skills to be able to bring that out of them as well, because someone can see something, go, oh, I want that, but if they're not that person, sometimes it does take a degree of warming up, doesn't it, or getting them to that point. And some of that stuff still relies on the weather and the people that are around them and the rest of it. But I think it's quite gratifying when, like, I love weddings where I have no agenda, where you can just wander and just kind of, what do I stumble across? What's this? I'm not looking at my watch, looking at my schedule. I'm like, just bring the wedding to me, or I'm going to wander around and find it. Or there's days like that where you go, I know what's going to make this bride happy. They've made no secret about what's important to them or what they like about my work. And you kind of feel like, as long as I can tick those 3 boxes, they'll love it.
So some of them want you to bring something to the day as well, don't you? And that's why they've hired you. And I imagine with you, that is your like, your personality and your creativity and the way you can sit in a room and sort of people warm up to you straight away.
It varies. Like, I think sometimes people, it's hard to make people just trust the process sometimes. Like, your wedding will be okay. There will be stuff. You just got to give me time to find it. Do you know what I mean? Or to let it play out rather than rush to have 6 things, so you're just rushing from one to the other. Because then there's no time in between. But to try and convince someone who wants a really fun day that the best things happen when nothing happens, that's hard to kind of guarantee on, isn't it? And some days when, if you get there and the guests aren't quite as colourful or charismatic as you'd hope,
force it in.
I'll try and find something from this. But then at the same time, I kind of feel in those days where I am chasing my tail, I kind of mourn the loss of, if you just give me half an hour to just let stuff happen, there would have been so much gold in there that I could have found for you. But so it's hard, and there is a right or wrong way of doing it. And it's nice that you have couples like yours where you know how to make them happy, so you don't wander away going, I hope I've got something they're going to love. But at the same time, it's nice to have those weddings as well, but you do get a chance to find the more unique stuff because it's not written on a list.
As long as the guests bring it, I'm happy. Like, you've reminded me of another one that I had in the last month where it's like, they had a long time between like all of the different things they had. So they were very much, it was like a very outdoorsy venue in Kent. I can't remember the name of it now, in Tunbridge in Kent. And if it was indoors wedding, it probably would have dragged on a little bit. But it was outdoors. They literally got all of the garden games you can possibly imagine. And they had probably like 2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours of reception drinks. And it was a sunny day and there was nothing planned for that reception drinks. It was just, everyone just enjoy yourself for 2 hours, 2.5 hours.
That is a real roll of the dice, isn't it?
And it's like, if you've not got the guests for that, you could end up with just a really like, just everyone just sat there just hating life, wanting to go in for dinner or something.
Like, it's funny, I had a wedding as well last week, 2 weeks ago, and I kind of, and I'm sure that other suppliers will kind of sympathise with this, where sometimes if you have dinner speeches and then you get like a 45 minutes or an hour between like the speeches and then the dancing, and like it is infamous, like the lull, isn't it? And it can be that if you're at a hotel, everyone goes and checks in, everyone disappears. Or sometimes like, they kind of booted you out of your dinner room where you were quite happy just chatting to the people on your table because they need to turn it around. And it can just feel like you are literally just waiting for the evening to begin. Like the bride and groom are either like, she's taking the veil out, busting her dress up, or evening guests are arriving to their greeting. But everybody else is just kind of like a bit full and a bit kind of like semi-drunk, and like just gets party started. And I get something to, like, this wedding had actively put on like ice cream and games and like limoncello slushies. So there was as much activity for like, there was almost like a second cocktail hour.
That's it.
And it was so nice because I didn't have group shots to get. I didn't have like, we weren't chasing off the back of confetti. It's like, okay, sunset's probably going to happen sometime in there, but cake cutting first dance is fluid. We can push that around if we need to. And I feel I've got so many more candids in that moment because there was like natural activity of people like pouring their slushies, or people were so much more relaxed because they'd had the wedding, they'd had dinner, they'd all kind of bonded or whatever. And it was almost like it was like a second drinks reception. Yeah. And it's like, maybe...
But now people are more relaxed and know each other better. Yeah.
But I think I would almost argue going forward that if someone asked me about, we're looking at like hiring Crazy Golf or hiring like a caricature or like or kind of an activity, I would almost rather have it in the second drinks reception.
Yeah.
Because in the first one, everyone's happy because they just watched the ceremony, so they naturally all want to find their time to go to that. If you've seen your mate that you haven't seen for a few months, you naturally want to catch up in that time. You're probably going to get called for a group photo at sometimes. There's plenty of stuff.
Yeah.
Regardless of activities, to fill that hour and a half, 2 hours anyway.
I've seen it more where it goes over both of them now, though. Like a lot of singers will stay for their reception drinks, then come back in the evening and sing for the evening and stuff like that. Whereas a lot of things used to be, you get Connect 4 for 2 hours during reception drinks, and then in the evening.
They'd come and pick it up whilst you're eating, and it's just all gone then. And it's like, which then feeds into that even more, doesn't it? Of like, we are literally just waiting for this band to sound check.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, that was really cool. And I think that's something that I would encourage more of. Or I probably have had it at weddings in the past, but I feel like this one, it really hit the sweet spot. Like it was cloudy during the first drink reception, but we all came out after dinner and like the sun was out. Like there was this like big like thing of limoncello like churning on the bike, and it was like, this is great.
Yeah.
And everyone was really kind of at peak joy.
Yeah.
Like it was like if you
sunny
could,
evening on a summer's day.
If you could like AI a wedding prompt, it would be like, I'm stood in a country garden surrounded by flowers with like an ice cream in one hand and
sun's
a sushi
out.
in the other. The sun's out. Everyone's in a really good mood.
Yeah.
Everyone's wearing really colourful outfits, and it's like, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
I almost didn't want to go in for dancing. I just wanted that to continue
Just wanted
for a little
that,
bit longer.
exactly. Yeah. And that's what people want as well. And that's why my dance floors have been pretty bad this year, I think, is because it's been such nice weather.
Yeah.
Like, touch wood, like this probably has been one of the best years weather-wise I've had for weddings in a very, very long time. And yeah, the dance floors just haven't been great. So yeah, at this wedding I had a second shooter with me, Mike from Mac Videography.
Okay, yeah.
And bear in mind, like...
previous guest as well.
Yes, previous guest, yeah.
Oh, Mike.
He's he's a good friend, and he helped me out on this wedding, and he came along to it. And I think whilst like, you know, I love his work, I could never produce the kind of stuff that he produces or maybe even do the kind of weddings that he does. But he probably goes to weddings that are a bit more intense than the one that like he second shot for me. So we were sat there during reception drinks, and it was about like not even that far into it given how long we've got, and he was like, he was like, I think I've got enough candies now. I was like, mate, there's another hour and a half left of reception drinks. And he's like, I'm sorry, I just don't know what to do because I'm used to these weddings where, you know, there's like a couple of planners and we're in London. You've got to go from here to here, and it's literally stacked full of like the timeline stacks, and I'm like busy and stressed and it's all happening. And now I'm here in the middle of a field, everyone's just having fun, and I can film whatever I want, and I'm just not used to this.
Yeah.
And I was like, mate, this is why I love these kind of weddings. I might not charge as much as him, but I'm enjoying my job because I'm literally just relaxing so much. And by the end of it, he's like sat on the bench with like an ice cream in each hand, just like enjoying life and integrated into the day. Sometimes just putting the camera down. Whereas I feel like maybe at the weddings he does, he's literally just 100% at all times, like full acceleration. Perhaps like this wedding at the castle that I did, where it's like a high amount of guests, the speeches between different things and that kind of like, it just feels like he was able to then relax.
Yeah, I don't want to generalise as well, but I think sometimes I've never gone into weddings that I would ever call sort of luxury, but definitely like sort of bigger budget or higher end weddings. Even though the couples are nice, they chat to you, you have kind of rapport, you do chat to guests, it's still very much, they just see you as you're the person here to take the photos. Where then you get weddings like the one you have, where they're like, we want you.
Yeah.
And so they want to stop and chat to you. They want to kind of, they want Chris the person or Tom the person as much as they want the film. And so they're quite happy that if they saw you stood there with an ice cream, like chatting to a guest, they'd be, it's so lovely that everyone's getting on with them. Where sometimes maybe those more intense weddings, it's like, why is that person not filming?
Yeah.
And so maybe he's used to that bustle, one of having time because it's such a stacked timeline.
Yeah.
But almost that expectation to like, I need to be on it.
Yeah.
So it's almost like that balance of mindfulness, and is it worth that higher, or it's kind of a whole conundrum, is it? Or certain weddings, I feel it's like, even if I wanted to stop and chat to people, I haven't got time today because there's so much stuff to get done in this hour and a half.
Yeah.
We'll pick this conversation up later and you go back to work.
Exactly.
But then other days, it's like you say, or if the light's good, people are good, you're like, I'm just shooting more and more and more of the stuff that I maybe like it's just not needed.
Yeah.
Like where again,
it was good. They were playing the games and everyone was enjoying it.
Is this the wedding where you played cornhole as well with?
Yeah, that's the wedding. Yeah, we were playing cornhole with the groom, and like it was me and Mike against the groom and the best man, and we were just chilling.
Isn't it? Like, that's the dream, isn't it?
And it's like this is fun. Like they're integrating us into the day. Like we're having a good chat. Like they're happy for us to put our cameras down because it's been 2 hours and whatever reception drinks. Like, and we're just having a play with them. And I've got I think the camcorder footage from the guests, and the guests are filming me and Mike and the groom, and the groomsman, and you can just hear him going, well, yeah, we wanted to play cornhole, but now the videographers are on it. So.
But you know, this is the dream, isn't it? Like, if you're an outsider, like if you met like a friend or explaining to someone what you did at the weekend who wasn't a thing, it's like, basically, this couple paid me to go to their wedding.
Yeah.
And play cornhole, and
I gave
the video camera to the guests. They did my job for me whilst I ate ice cream and played cornhole. It's like, you are winning at life, my friend.
and it was great. And I mean, look, not every wedding I do is like that. We will have. Well, I'll definitely have the intense one. I like to think I'm a comedian. Like I can kind of blend into different types of weddings. There's certain types of weddings, like perhaps some of the ones that Mike does, I just wouldn't be the right person for it. I don't think. For the most part, I deliberately turn down every London wedding just because I just don't know. I'm just not that like, and I shoot a lot of barns. And even though like we've spoken about how the next step up might be like manor houses or whatever, I feel like I'm not really getting there very quickly because the barn weddings or these kind of weddings where there's just 2.5 hours where they're just playing cornhole and enjoying themselves. That's where I love to be.
But I think if you think of it as a ladder though, there's nothing wrong with having a foot on each.
No, yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Like, well, I think, like, you know, you said, no, I'm going to Avington next week, I'm at Lulworth in a few weeks' time. You're definitely starting to push towards those calibers. But if the barns are fun, it's not a case of, I need to leave those behind because of, like, my image or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think, again, we spoke about it loads in pricing episodes and episodes, like, affordability at levels. Like, there's a barn wedding, which is a really budget barn wedding. And there's a budget barn wedding, and there's a barn wedding, which is a really bougie barn wedding.
Yeah.
And they look miles apart, I think, still.
Yeah,
so
true.
to go, I'm stuck doing barn weddings is really kind of like, I think barn weddings get a lot of hate sometimes.
You had to talk to them
within the industry, I'm too good for barns now.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, do you know what? If I shot barns for the next 20 years, as long as the people that were at them, those activities, like we said, were there in abundance, and there was ends of fun, I wouldn't care what building I'm stood in, whether I'm in literally a barn with a garden next to it, or in like a stone manor with expensive art on the walls. I don't think it's be a chameleon. Read the people, not like the surroundings.
Yeah, maybe I felt like I needed to say that because I had a photographer the other day. It was like, oh, well, what venues do you mostly work at? And I was like, mostly barns. And they went, oh, can't work at barns anymore. I'm sticking to my manor houses. And I was like, whew, is that what people think of barns when they're like been doing it for a while?
Maybe I say the same about hotels now. Do you know what I mean? Maybe I say, right. And I think it's not necessarily for hotels. Like out of the weddings that I've shot, the one that I've just delivered was probably one of my favourite weddings of the year. Yeah. It was at a hotel.
Yeah.
But the schedule came together, the weather came together, it looks great, and the people as well, like not only the couple but their families were absolute kind of my people. They allowed me to be close, they allowed me to work, they gave me endless amounts of expression, emotion, and the rest of it.
Yeah.
So it didn't matter where we were. But I think it's that stigma, isn't it? Maybe barns have the same, but I think of hotel and I think of like a coordinator that follows you with a clipboard and a thing, or again, all the guests disappear into their rooms to go and check in, so there's nobody around to photograph. So you feel like I'm literally just following a schedule here. There's no room for creativity. Yeah. Which barns, I don't get it. It gives you endless scope for it.
Yeah, 100%. It's just, I think, like you say, like you can have a foot on both rungs, and sometimes I'll be at your local barn and sometimes I'll be at Lulworth Castle, and I kind of love that variety of sometimes I'll be chilling and playing with the groom, sometimes I won't see him all day because he's with like tons of guests and I'm too busy. You know, I've got a wedding next week which is completely opposite to that one at Avington with Kirsty McKenzie, shout out.
Previous guest.
Also previous guest. And
ticking the boxes today.
The schedule is loaded, like from start to finish. So we're not going to get to sit down for probably the full 12 hours we're going to be there. And it's going to be completely opposite to that wedding. So it's just a good variety.
But I think as well though, especially where you've been shooting triples, that variety is good.
Yeah.
Like I think half the reason that I became a photographer, I became self-employed, was to avoid monotony in my life.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like when I hear people that have to go to the same office and speak to the same people for like the same hours every day, and they have so little choice in their life.
Yeah.
That's what I don't like. And I love that I can speak to anyone. They go, well, where have you been this week? And it's like, well, I've been here, I've done this, I've met these people. I've been to this people, I've done this. And every wedding, and it sounds like a cliche, every wedding's different, but they are. Yeah. Like I'd like to think that if I got like all of my couples from one year in a room together and threw a party for them, that some of them would walk away friends because they are similar enough people. But they could all have picked weddings in different venues, had different things that are important to
different
them.
friends and family.
But kind of because of the person that I put out, there's that kind of core values or kind of certain things would kind of tie them together enough in that works.
Yeah.
But the wedding is still so different.
Yeah.
And that's good. Yeah.
No, I think you're exactly right with that. And I think that if you really get into the weeds and get to know those people, like I feel like the time we've spent together, the more I've been like in that sort of mindset of like getting to know the people and that kind of thing, rather than, like I said, well, we always say this, like how like it was a business for me when I started and whatever. But yeah, the more you get to know those people, the more you can see how different the weddings are. And what I mean by that is there are still probably photographers that I work with who would rather just blend the wedding to their own specification than turn up with an empty canvas and paint on it. They'd rather have the dots and the dots already drawn out and get the same shots every single time at the same venue and be happy with that. And that's a style and that's a vibe. And if you want to do that, that's cool.
Also, it's a lot safer. Do you know what I mean? In terms of knowing what you deliver, to kind of this works, it's a foolproof formula.
Yeah.
It is scary. And again, like we said earlier, there are days where I get back to my car at the end of the day and go, I really hope there's something in there. I've been pushing hard. I've been searching high and low to find those moments. I really hope they love what I've made.
But hopefully you've got to the core of the couple. Whereas if you got joined in the dots, you're missing something in the middle that's what the cat couple actually wanted or how
but I think you need
feeling.
to know, don't you? Like you like, and I find it obviously our second shot on the weekend, which is the first time I've done a second shooter job in probably about 18 months.
Yeah.
And I almost forgotten then kind of how much I crave that rapport. Like to rock up on a day and meet a bride and 20 minutes later I watch her get married and then you shake hands with a groom and go, oh, now we're doing this. Like there's no nothing. Like, I was kind of like saying to Katie, who I was working for, was like, can you just give me like a rundown in like 5 minutes? Just tell me like roughly how old they are, what the family setup is and what they do for a job. Just so I've kind of got an idea of what type of people they are. Because it's those maybe sorts of questions now that when I have my initial client calls are the questions that I ask. Yeah. Like I just find it interesting what people do. And
what makes them tick.
And you don't want to kind of stereotype people, but if someone comes to me and goes, oh, I'm a teacher, or someone comes to me and goes like, I don't know, like, I'm a rocket engineer, or I'm a painter. Yeah, they kind of come with their own. Okay, you're a creative person. Okay, you're more of like a kind of a planner, kind of like methodical person. Yeah, you can start to kind of see, like you say, what makes people tick, or how the kind of things are going to go, or you can normally tell who's the stressed one and who's the chill one in the relationship. But it's those things, isn't it? Like, tell me about your family. Are you close to your friends? Are you close to your mum? Like those sorts of things. So you can start to put those jigsaw pieces of a wedding together. And then from your experience, you go, okay, this is the family wedding. It's not a friend wedding. Yeah. So okay, it's going to be like this.
Even in the morning of getting to know them, like, and integrating into the day in the morning. I've had 2 couples recently inquire, and then when it gets to the call, they're like, we're not really bothered about prep. Can you just turn up to the ceremony? And both times I've said no. Like if I'm doing a wedding, I'm doing prep as well, because I used to do the package where you turn up to ceremony, and I was like, the first time you'll see me on the day is when you walk down the aisle, and I just don't think that's right. And also, if you've got lots of bridesmaids, grooms, and that kind of thing, for the rest of the day, I'm going to be that stranger who turned up after the ceremony, and and I'm just not that. I want to integrate into the day, and they're like, oh, actually, that makes a lot of sense, and that kind of thing. I said, if you want like just a couple of shots of you in your dress at the end of getting ready, and then I'll do that. But it's more. I said to them, it's less about getting the shots of the makeup and the hair and whatever, because most people don't really understand why they get that stuff anyway. Yeah. And it's more about just us being there. No, exactly. And it's more about just us being there, integrating into the day. We're there for a couple of hours before, talking to everyone, that kind of thing. So that when it comes to, for your guys' sake, the group photos and that kind of thing, everyone's a bit more comfortable around you, rather than if you just rocked up for a reception drink and someone's like, right, everyone start shouting.
I find that even when I have my 500 calls, like post-COVID, I always used to arrive 2 hours before a wedding. That moved to 3, I think, sometimes because people were having earlier evenings. So I still wanted to get my hours in, so I'd start walking up at 3 hours before. And now that's just become something that I do. And it's quite often that in that first half an hour, I'll barely take a photo. Yeah. I'll literally wander in. Hopefully, if I'm 3 hours before, there's normally on a breakfast run. So someone's like, oh, do you want a coffee? And it's like, yeah, great. Brilliant. Yeah. Get me a coffee. I'll sit down. Again, someone's having their hair and makeup done. I'll be like, oh, what are you listening to? And then might be in that first 15 minutes with no cameras on me. I'll walk in with nothing unpacked and then just sit and chat. Or even now that I'm starting to shoot a little bit of film, I used to load my film at home, so I was ready to go. But now the art of kind of ritual of sitting there, getting my cameras out, I load my film in the morning. Yeah. And so then people are kind of interested in what you're doing, but it's kind of like, oh, I'm going through those motions. while you're getting prepped with them.
Yeah.
And so you're just there and you're kind of busy, but not like shoving a camera in someone's face.
Straight away,
so you're building that kind of relationship. So you see who the helpful bridesmaid is in the morning and the one that just wants to wear the pretty dress, because they're the one that offers to make you the coffee or go, can I go and get details for you or whatever. And it is really all of that coming together, isn't it? And I think it's that education of couples to know that, no, I just want to be there. Like, I don't need to have to work, or I don't have to take a picture of that.
Yeah.
I just need to make friends.
I'm not going to film you like for an hour getting your makeup done. Just want to be there and hang out and help you prep and stuff like that, and just make you feel comfortable, I guess, in the morning, and show your face and say like, photographer's here, like, you don't have to worry, sort of thing. So
I think they forget, don't they, that they've gone through that process of weeding you out of all the other people online and having a couple of calls with you. They still do feel that they know you from like your stories or whatever, and they might have told their mum or their bridesmaids about you, but they've never actually met you. So for them, they are meeting you for the first time on the day, and a lot of time they're still sat there in a dressing gown, aren't they, or or unmade up or whatever. So they almost kind of need to have all of that process that you've done for the last however many months with the bride in the space of like half hour.
True.
To get them as comfortable. So I think it is a really kind of weird one how it works like that, but. Also, for someone who is like normally late to everything, I always kind of feel that if I set myself to come extra early, it means that I'm always there in good enough time. So otherwise I'd have that thing where I'd literally arrive and be like, oh, we're getting in the dress now.
2 hours before, and it's like an hour before. I've
not even broke off the shoes yet. It's detail, and they're already on your feet. Like what's going on? Like, and I hate feeling rushed. I think I don't make my best work when I'm. Like, I like pressure of like a confetti aisle. But knowing I've got 6 things to do and 10 minutes to do it. I'm like, I just go and get it done. I'm not being creative in that moment. It's like, I just chuck it all down, click, done. Done that, next thing. Like,
that's how I feel about the intense weddings. You kind of get into this thing where you're like, it's almost like, I call it zombie mode, but it's probably like safety mode. Where you tune out your like creative bones that really want to just go and get some artistic candids, and instead you tune into this mode where you're like, I'm a wedding videographer, I'm going to film confetti, then I'm going to film some couple shots, then I'm going to go film the dinner room, and you just like, I'm going to put this on the gimbal, get a wide of the dinner room, and you're not thinking, how do I be creative with this? You're just thinking, I need to next thing. Now I need to.
I always liken it to being like at sea. Do you know what I mean? Like, imagine like you jumped off a boat and you're in the water and you're struggling to keep your head atop and you're flapping loads to kind of survive. And then the opposite of that is being on a lilo with like a drink in a coconut. And you're just floating along going, this view's amazing. Or that cloud looks like a bird. Because you've got time to notice that stuff. Where in the rest of the time, you're literally just fighting to keep your head above water. And it's like survival and getting through it is the only option.
And both of those types of weddings are fun. Like, I enjoy the pressure and the stress sometimes. Like, at the end of the Low Earth Castle day, the long day where we sort of finished at 11 or whatever it was, I was knackered, but like posting and looking through all the footage and everything, I was like, I'm just so excited to get to this, because we did so well on that day, like both of us together. The wedding was really interesting, that kind of thing. So for the one day of pain, like, they're going to get some great stuff from it.
But I think it's nice to walk away from a wedding and feel rewarded as well, isn't it? Like, go, I feel like I've actually got good stuff. Because sometimes you have those days where you're like, I don't know if I've got good stuff. So it's nice to kind of have something, especially when you finish on like the Cold Sparks as well. They're like that, finish like, on a high. Almost the pinnacle bit of that film is like, this is the thing that I really want to go and make sure that I've nailed. And because it's happened so recently, you kind of you kind of go into that bit, which normally is like, I'm just gonna get home. Like, it's exciting, isn't it? I think that's kind
also
of
a bit of an ego boost. I'm not gonna lie. Like, when I posted that drone video of like the sparks and everything, and like, I didn't really think about it at the time because you're just in the zone, right? But like the Instagram is them on the middle of the stairs at the top, like twirling.
If you haven't seen it, go to Chris's socials and look at it, because it is insanely cool.
Like epic. It's probably the most epic shot, like single shot I've ever filmed. Is them twirling and doing the dip and whatever. I gave them no direction. I just said, do a first dance, do some of the things that you would normally do, and I'm just going to fly the drone and hope for the best, right? And the Instagram is all of that, and then the sparks and lighting up the castle and whatever. The reality is, it's like I said, like everything was pushed back quite far. So the sparkler person is like running to get everything from the dance floor to out the front of the castle. It's been a lovely day, but there's storms forecasted for the evening, and there was a really bad storm just as I was leaving. Especially
where, like you said, at Lulworth as well, because you are near like Durdle Door and the Cove. You are really near the coast, aren't you? And if storms do roll in, it can go from like nice to not nice really quite quickly, can't it?
And everyone's up the top there smoking and whatever, and so we were like, right, everyone get inside quick, like the rain's coming, we've got to get this shot. I've got the drone up in the dark, which is not something I do regularly, and obviously turned it around, pointed at the castle and was like, I can't see anything on the screen because it's pitch black. So I was like, mate, like we need sort of a test one so that I can do the exposure. And he was like, okay, well, I'll do the test one, and then for the actual one, you've got 30 seconds to get your shot before it all runs out or whatever happens. Like he's like, you've got about 30 seconds. So yeah, the test one, I'm quickly exposing on the drone or whatever, and then it goes down and you can't see anything. I'm like, right, let's just do this and crack on.
Squint at the screen, record and hope for the best.
Yeah, so I hit record, I was like, do the sparks, and it came on, and obviously I was perfectly exposed for it and everything, or in my opinion, perfectly exposed. And it worked out amazing, and you can sort of get home and you're like, I'm so glad that even though this is something I've never done before and I had 30 seconds to prep for it, that it turned out so well. And it's just like, it's
I think again, it's nice, isn't it, to know that even that far into a day and that far into kind of a long weekend, you still kind of think, well, no, my instinct is ingrained in me that much now that it allows me to make good creative decisions or technical decisions in those moments. Because like you say, it's not something you can just wang on auto and go for it, because the sparks would have been completely blown out. And again, like I always think we underestimate sometimes that most of our brides wear white dresses, which are an absolute pain for bright light. Like to blow out detail in a dress or to do that stuff, you can't. It does require a degree of like, I need to get this right. Like, you know, with like AI and like raw dynamic range and stuff now, there's never been more kind of like a wiggle room for error.
And that's good, because the castle is still pitch black. Like like in the actual shot that I got back and put my grade on and whatever, you could see them dancing, but it was like they're just on top of some stairs and there was no context. So I had to bring back the castle, and I was lucky I could do that. But
it's wild.
It's good.
But it's good. But it's nice to know, or it's really nice, like say, from kind of an ego point of view, to go, do you know what, maybe I do know something. Because I think I always feel like it gets to this time of the year where I start to doubt myself a little bit. Do you know what I mean? Like you come home from a wedding and maybe you have a day that you're like, I hope for something nice. And you've already seen like someone else's Instagram stories that have smashed it, or like you appear with your sparklers and you're like, I almost got burned by an actual sparkler. It's like, and then you're like, I think sometimes at that time of year, maybe some of that self-doubt can creep in. So to kind of get a day at that where you go, actually, go me. I'm going to trying to pat myself on the back. Like, I do know something after all. Like, it is nice to kind of have those moments.
I got an email from the parents even mentioned it. I got an email from the parents like saying thank you and whatever, and they're like, we love the support you're getting from your industry peers on the shot of the sparklers on Instagram. I was like, yeah, so do I.
But that's good as well though, isn't it? If they can see then other people that are like, other people that do your job going, this is amazing. It's like, well, he's not just some guy that wanders around with the camcorder from the mid-2000s. Like, he knows what he's doing. So, that's really cool.
Something that you've put in your notes, which I actually had a conversation with a photographer the other day about, is about how you've not worked with many videographers or content creators this year, really.
No, I'm just over halfway through now. I feel like it's been a really wild year, or a really different year in that respect. Now, I have a really close friend who is a DJ or runs a group of DJs. For the last 3, 4, maybe 5 years, I've always worked probably a third to half of my weddings with him or one of his crew. I'm 16 weddings in this year and I haven't worked with him once. I think all year I've had 2 DJs. The rest of it's been bands. So that's really odd. That's an anomaly for me to have that many bands rather than DJs. And then again, out of those 16 weddings, I worked with Josh once. We worked a really cool outdoor wedding together. And then I've worked with 2 different content creators. And that's it. Where I think last year we worked together 3, 4 times. I think I worked with Josh once. So again, I would say last year, 60% of my weddings had videographers. Well, this
we worked
year,
together quite a bit last year.
It's probably going to be 80% of my weddings are just me.
So with the band thing, I think all of it probably is because you are nailing down on your brand and your style. And I said to the photographer the other day, because she was like, I've been doing this 5 years or whatever, and I've probably worked a handful of times as a photographer. And I was shocked by that. But I was like, you know what? I get this sometimes, photographers who say this. And I said, I think it's a style thing, but I can't work out what styles people would book a photographer and a videographer, and what style. Like perhaps if they're booking like a high-end editorial photographer, they're probably going to book a videographer. For like either to capture the other stuff and the bits they miss, or because they want like a nice like looking video, or because they care about aesthetics, right? But if you're just booking, like you sent us a message the other day, which was like an inquiry that said or contact form. A questionnaire that said, "Are you having a videographer?" And it's like, no, because you're the Don, wasn't it? And it's like, because I think
that was nice. That was an ego
your couples, because you do like a minute of couple shooting or whatever. I think your couples are. I want really good looking, like true, honest is the word you use. Honest photos of myself, but I don't want to feel like I've got cameras in my face.
And to be fair as well, that lady, shout out to Rihanna and Steve, because I loved their wedding. They was just so naturally like fun. But what she did is questionnaire. I haven't really got. No, you are the Don. Sent them their previews that night. She sent me an email the next morning going, "We love them," and I'm totally not surprised by that. It was like you smashed it, and I knew you would. Yeah. And it was almost like that. So it was like some people were like, "Oh my god, this is amazing." It was like, no, you've done exactly what I expected. Yeah, I didn't expect anything less. And it's like, brilliant. So,
but I think because of the couples that you target and the couples that you book, I think don't want the cameras in their face. They don't want to feel like that.
Yeah, I think that's
and
true.
They don't want to feel like their wedding's a photo shoot, so they don't want a videographer there with their cameras and their tripods and whatever. So I'm surprised that you've worked with content creators at all, to be honest with you.
Which is really odd, because as well, if you'd have asked me to look at, if you laid all my weddings out on the table in front of me and said, 2 of your weddings this year are going to have content creators, pick which 2 they're going to be, it would have been the 2 that I've picked.
Okay, yeah.
I wouldn't say that either of the couples that have had the content creators with me are particularly wannabe influencers,
or whatever,
super Instagrammy. Yes, they have accounts. Yes, they post.
Yeah.
Neither of them have probably anything that I would say bigger than family and friend followings. So it's not as if they're looking to kind of document their life to a wider audience than just what they want. And both of them, funnily enough, ended up with content creators. Both reached out to me first and asked if I had recommendations for content creators.
Okay.
And I kind of felt the need to say to them, unfortunately, I don't at the moment because I haven't worked with any.
Yeah.
But I just want to double check with you why you're getting one. Because again, from the conversation that I'd had with them, they didn't seem like content wanting people. I was like, have you not got the budget for a good videographer, so you think that that's a good second best? Because if you're expecting to get kind of speeches and full ceremony out of them, or do you just want a really nice kind of summary of your day? And one of them came back and was like, yeah, exactly that. One of them came back and was like, yes, we would love a video. The budget's not there, but we've seen this guy's reels, and just having a small highlight film from him is enough.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I need to listen to everything again.
Yeah.
And the other one was just like, I just want a moving version of what you do. So that's to have little snippets of stuff, which is like, I feel for me that's much more on my terms, than having like a full video. So it's odd. It was nice to kind of hear their reasonings why they picked the content over a video.
It's the accessibility
or
thing
how
as well,
they seen one to be against the other. It was odd.
Yeah. I think it's the price thing as well, and accessibility. It's like
definitely.
If your content creator's a few $100 in the grand scheme of things at a wedding, even if you didn't necessarily want a content creator, you'd be like, it's a few $100. I'm going to get some extra footage. Like, I'm just going to go for it. Whereas something like a videographer, you'd probably need to spend a lot more time thinking about and saving.
I think I always say, and I think this is still something that I stand by, is I want to be booked as a photographer because people want a photographer.
Yeah.
Where I'm aware that that's not always the case. Like, if someone said to you, give me the 10 things I need to make a wedding happen, it would be like rings, cake, photographer. I'd be on the list.
Yeah.
Where I think video I always would.
Yeah.
But in order, I think, for people to get the most out of video, they've got to want a video.
Yeah.
Like some people, like sometimes in those initial calls, people go, oh, do you think we should get a video? And it's like, if you're asking me that question,
you probably
don't
want
not.
It. Yeah.
Like, you've got to really see the vision or the real want to have that legacy video, to hear that audio, to see those moments play out. And if you don't really want that, then don't invest in it, because it's like. But if you do want that, go for the best person that you can afford, or someone whose style 100% aligns with you.
Yeah.
And I think that's maybe some of it as well. As I say, is maybe some of my couples, because they are more shy, they want those shorter couple shoots and the rest of it, and so the idea of seeing themselves play out being kind of more awkward, maybe don't want that.
Yeah. Do you think that with me and you, like, obviously, like, we've worked together over the years, but this year I don't think we are. We are once. Actually. Do you think that that's like our styles have like almost forked a little bit?
Yes. I don't think either's a bad thing.
No.
I think there's elements of both of each other's styles, we've learned from each other things that have fed into our styles. But I think we are naturally maybe starting to. I think before there was kind of a blurred line in the middle, and I feel that that's starting to fork away a little bit.
Yeah.
But if anything, it's made both of our independent businesses stronger.
Definitely,
that makes me sad that I'm not going to get to work with you more than I used to, as much as I did last year. And I think in future it can still come back around that we will work together.
Yeah.
There's
always going to be, like you say, merging of things.
Exactly that, or even brides and grooms that have slightly different wants, and so one will go, oh, I really want that, and do that, and I always continue to recommend you as video. But I think, naturally, it's almost from us doing the workshops or refining our own brands.
Yeah.
If anything, we're doing a better job of really finding what we want, and that kind of
and it's narrowing it down a bit
more. But that kind of the bit that's narrowed in has moved us kind of a little bit further away from each other. If that makes sense.
Like maybe you're looking for people who don't necessarily want like the couple shoots and maybe don't want the cameras in their face.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm looking for people who want to act up to camera.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
I think so, yeah. And I think now, especially with you adding the camcorder, that you kind of, it's not just you capturing that as well. It's relying then on like, I could get someone who's on the inner circle to capture that fun as well.
Fun bridesmaid.
So your films are kind of becoming even more peak fun. Where I think with me then picking up the analog stuff again and kind of finding those kind of more like legacy and archival kind of nostalgia in that way.
Very much
it's kind of, mine's gone kind of more legacy and like kind of like nostalgic, where yours has kind of gone but nostalgic but in a more kind of fun, playful, energetic way. Or I don't think I'd describe my work as energetic really at all. So it's hard, but I think it's really interesting. And I think as kind of someone who's an outsider to it, to see your brand flourish in that way, I feel like you've gone to both extremes of where it was and you've settled somewhere really nicely in the middle now, that although that you are still getting that energetic stuff, it doesn't come across as forced anymore. You're not getting boring people and trying to make them have fun.
They're just finding me, and it's
like then the natural audio coming, people like naturally like having them singing or like doing stuff, it feels so real, but it's still peak
not
fun
having to turn up and be like, oh, I've got to try and make this fun because they've booked me or whatever.
I don't feel like you're pretty much like the hype man or the bringer of the fun anymore. You're a person that's showcasing that in the best way.
Well, I'm asked to bring it, but it's already there. Like some people are like, oh yeah, we love your energy and stuff,
rather than like innovating, if that's the right word.
Like I like to think that I'm the guy who rocks up to prep, and like you might be the guy who sort of rocks up to prep and sits down and has a chat with them and stuff like that. And I'm normally the guy who rocks up like pops the first bottle of Prosecco, turns the music up basically and goes, right, come on, let's get some energy in it or whatever. So
definitely. It's really interesting how that's and maybe those things have flourished, I think, again, because music is a big part of kind of the way that I talk about things and music. So a lot of the people that I photograph, again, are kind of live music goers, gig goers, festival goers. They maybe now have got a bit more budget to play. They would maybe, we'll save that on a videographer, so we'll put that money into a band rather than a DJ. And so I wonder if that's why I am working with sort of more live musicians.
I think that's it. And you post a lot of like your gigs and stuff online, and I feel like it's very obvious that you're into festivals, gigs, that kind of thing. And you attract what you show, right? So
and I think it is interesting how it feels, kind of how year on year can be so different. Like I kind of like someone's going, oh, like it's really odd. Like I haven't seen you in 6 months. When normally I'd see you most weekends. And then again, like we were saying, like you came around yesterday with Kate and kind of we had barbecue and stuff, and it was like I felt last year. Like we were always together, like between doing pod, we holidayed twice together. We were at weddings together. Obviously, Kate was like with you at those weddings.
Wedding
it felt
fairs,
like I just saw a lot more of you.
Where
this year it's kind of like it's really nice that when we do catch up or even have these catch up episodes, some of it is genuinely you filling me in on what's been going on because we haven't seen each other as much as we have other years. So it's bizarre, but. Kind of, it's a welcome change, I think.
But the same with your brand. I feel like you're more unapologetically you now than you have been. Like we've been doing this just over 2.5 years now, is it?
About that, Jesus. We were 2 years in March, which is wild. It
will be 2 years. Sorry,
it was 2 years in March.
Roughly 2.5 years.
About 2.5 years,
Yeah, and even in that time, like we can see each other go through different like mini phases in our branding and our thoughts on Instagram and whatever. But now, like I feel like where last year you might have been a bit more like skeptical about, but should I be posting these things or should I be posting that? Now I feel like you're just like, I love these people. They're going on my Instagram. I love this vibe. This is going on my Instagram. And you're like,
I think some of that comes with age. Some of it still requires a degree of bravery.
Yeah, it does.
But I think you've just got to do that. Just fuck it.
But because you're being more you're getting people that are more you, and you're not thinking, but do I need to post this wedding from this lovely venue just because it was a nice venue, or do I need to get the shot outside the venue with the venue in the background?
I don't know if I've spoken about this on pod either, but I'll talk about it now. Is I kind of realised at the start of the year, I was kind of looking at my Instagram engagement and stuff like that. Maybe like we just come back from the summit, and obviously there was like Greg talking about kind of engagement levels and impressions and stuff. And I was kind of thinking like, I'm still posting directly, but I don't seem to be getting, my numbers don't seem to be creeping as high as they were last year. I'm maybe not getting DMs from people as often as I would before responding to what I'm posting. And so I started to have a look through it, and then I was like, do you know what? I talk to camera a lot less than I used to. Like a lot of it was just mundane shit sometimes. I was like, maybe I just need to show up a little bit more. And I was like, people want to see me shouting at them through their screen at like 2 times speed? And I was like, well, maybe they do. And I've started to kind of, hopefully, a bit more of a balance of it. But at times, even sometimes where I think, I've only got one thing to say, I'll just talk about it rather than put a text story up. Which sometimes is easy to hide away when you're like literally like slobbing out in front of your computer and you don't look your best. And I have, like, the other day, I literally was cooking down my shack, and I literally put my phone on the shelf and was talking to it, smoke came past my face.
Like breakfast, isn't it? Yeah.
But so many people messaged me back after that and was, oh, that's so cool, or I actually got that engagement back.
Yeah.
Whether it's equating to more bookings, I don't know, but like we kind of went back to talking like getting to know people again. I think, you know, everyone's got to share as much or as little as their life as they feel comfortable to. But it is driving. I've noticed again that my engagement across stories, which again I try and story most days, I only probably post to the grid once, twice a week. My numbers are starting to go back up again.
Yeah.
So I think that letting yourself and showing more and making that decision to actually go, no, I am going to talk to camera more.
But it's clear that you like that interaction as well. I think you can't force someone to love something, and as much as we all say show up on camera and do like your talking stories, it's very obvious to me when someone does it and they're just doing it, hating life doing it. Like it's, and I get that like it takes a bit of practice and whatever, but at the end of the day, if it's not you, like, I don't particularly enjoy doing it, and so I try and show myself, but in like little snippets and like.
But I feel like your stories, when you show up, are far more articulate than me. And maybe because there's that decision to normally be at your desk, normally with a light on, maybe holding a small microphone.
Yeah.
Like they're much more curated, and you normally jump on and you're there, you give people the juicy nugget of the reason that you've logged on. You give them the news.
I think it's more of a the night before I'll be like, right, tomorrow I'm going to do a story, I'm going to talk about this, this and this. So it's already like in my head. It's not a script, but it's like,
but you know
I'm not just rocking
going.
up and trying to create a story, or I'm like in the car, but like eating my meal deal before the wedding, thinking like, okay, I'm going to talk about this, I'm going to talk about this, and that kind of thing. That's probably why it seems a bit more like...
Yeah, maybe I think it does, but then I don't know, I feel like you listen to this podcast, you know how much I ramble and waffle anyway. Sometimes I open my story, start talking, then forget what I'm going to say about, and then about 3 stories later it'll come back to me and we're there. But then I kind of feel like people know what they're getting when I rock up on their wedding day by then. So I think, again, through all of this catch up, I think maybe both of us have ended up kind of settling on something which is quite a polished version, but also something which is probably a lot more authentic to who we are now. And I think some of that does come with age as well, or tenure as well. You know, both of us are nearly both a decade in this year. That it does take a lot of wandering down that path to kind of find out where you want to stop and admire the view, doesn't it? And I think I feel that this year that maybe, although I am having a quieter year in bookings wise, I do kind of feel that I've never come home from a wedding this year and gone, I'm glad to be home. I never felt that's been really problematic. Or like I feel like I've really hit my stride this year, that maybe I haven't got a quantity of weddings, but the quality of people that I'm working for and the fun that I'm having could not be higher.
Yeah. I was hesitant to say that,
haven't you? You have 2 or 3 times this year. I've seen you say, do you know what? I feel like, and it's never about picking favourites or whatever, and it's never that. Sometimes I think I've probably made my best work at weddings that maybe on a personal feel like I've had to work harder.
For sure,
There's been something which has happened which has made me dig deeper to make sure I've got something because I've been doubtful.
And you've got home being like, oh, that was just tough.
I haven't sat and played cornhole with ice cream today, have I? I've actually worked for my money today. But I feel like this year I've walked that balance of, I've enjoyed making work, I've enjoyed the people, I've enjoyed the days, and it's just been. I kind of feel that I'm sort of living what that work's paid off to something.
Yeah, 100%. I was really hesitant to say. I was going to put it in there, just saying like I'm having the best year probably that I've had in business in terms of like how much I'm enjoying the weddings. But we're just over halfway through, so I wanted to
But jinx it too much. We'll touch all the words and the rest of it. But long may it continue. And I'd like to think that is a result of the work that's been put in. Those people have found you for reasons, or those days have ended up being that. I know the weather definitely helps. We had a very, very wet year last year. Yeah. This year, the weather has been a lot kinder. I don't feel like it's blessed me with that many more super, dreamy golden hours.
No.
But I definitely haven't got wet this year. Which helps.
Yeah. Oh, talking about getting wet.
Yes, we're an hour in, so I think that's a really good bombshell of an episode to finish on. That's the story, isn't it?
Yeah. So on my stories the other day, I don't know if anyone saw it, but I got a lot of messages back from it. Essentially, it's probably my first wedding of the year where it actually rained during the day, or maybe second. I did one in February where it was raining all day, but like you said, the weather's been great. But it was last Thursday. Just before the ceremony, the heavens absolutely opened at this wedding. And it was probably the longest time I've seen
rain for that like sustainable.
It was intense.
Sustained at that intense
level.
level.
Anyone that listened to us who wasn't on the south coast, I was driving down the motorway at the time, and it literally felt like someone was throwing rocks at my car.
Yeah.
Like the amount that it rained and the velocity that it rained at for like that, half an hour?
Yeah.
But it was constant, wasn't it?
If you've ever been to Thailand or somewhere like that where they have sort of monsoon season, it felt like that, but it was a solid, I would say, hour, because it must have been just before the ceremony until about half an hour afterwards or something like that.
Yeah, so you get good out,
Yeah.
onto ground that is
afterwards.
rock hard, because it's been so hot for so long.
Yeah. And so like the ceremony's going on, and obviously it's like absolutely hammering it down outside, and I'm like, I hope it gets better, that kind of thing. It didn't really, but the ceremony finishes, and I'm just sort of like packing up my microphones and stuff like that, and the coordinator comes over. It's like, you own of that red Tesla? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, it's kind of a bit underwater at the moment. And I was like, what?
I'd love to have had to film your face and the colour drain out of it.
She was like, and Josh was like, that means mine must have been as well. Obviously Josh, good friend of ours and the second shooter for me on the day, and he was parked next to me, and she was like, you might want to move it now because it's raining still quite hard and the water is coming up. And like, it's not till we went out to the car park that we realised it's literally a stream coming through the car park, and that stream is all leading into like the lowest part, which is both where me and Josh are both parked. And there was a few other cars there parked as well, and like the staff were moving them for the guests because I guess they'd had alcohol and things like that.
Or wellies. You had to get out there.
But then I was like, you're like, how do I get to my car? Because it was shin deep, so this water.
Yeah, you said to me that you were almost by the time that she let you know, it was almost at the bottom of your doors where the inside would have got wet.
Another 5 minutes and that would have been at the bottom of our doors. So it was a point where we decided to take shoes and socks off and sort of waddle through it. But by the time we got back to our shoes and socks, Josh's shoes had floated off because he'd left them too close to the water. But yeah, so we literally shoes and socks off, waddled through this like muddy rainwater, got into the car and hoped it would be okay because it was basically submerged. And moved our cars, but that was hell of an experience. And I thought, this is a really funny thing to film and put on my stories.
Which
and
in
the amount
some
of
ways,
reactions I got was unreal.
But again, I always think that when you have these things, it's not until after the moment that you can look at that footage and go, it's actually a pretty close call. And you can laugh about it now because it was okay. But at the time, to have that mindfulness and go, I should probably take a video of this. I'd be like, no, my really expensive car's about to float past me, and splashing through. I'm not sure that I'd have had the mindfulness in that moment. I probably would have cursed myself after, going, I really should have filmed that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the thing in my mind that popped out going, content.
Everything is content. Everything is content. Yeah.
But as well, it's just for me as well, really, just to have that funny thing of like, that happened to me the other day.
Yeah, in 2 years' time when it pops up in your memories on your camera roll, then you go, do you remember that time the car was floated away? Yeah.
But 10 minutes later, and it probably would have gone into the doors. So, and I'd walk back into reception drinks, and obviously nobody had told bride and groom and guests or whatever. So I'm walking around reception drinks barefoot and with my trousers rolled up, and everyone's looking at me proper weirdly, and I'm hesitant to go and tell anyone why why I've done this. But later on, when it was the evening, I was chatting to the bride about it, and I was like, it's really funny when I had to dig my car out of the water, and she's like, what? But obviously she'd been protected and not told.
I think we do sometimes as suppliers do shield our couples from the lot.
She found it hilarious.
And again,
I showed her the video.
They find out later, I think, or certain times we've been at prep. We did a wedding last year. Remember when the dog ran away? And the bride was like, I really want to see the dog. He's not quite here yet. And then he was 2 miles away because he'd ran or whatever. And I think sometimes as suppliers, it's not when you look back at those things and go, our job is so much more than just providing media, isn't it? We end up helping out, doing physical things, doing hair tasks, doing logistics tasks, shielding people from disasters, emotional support, so much of that stuff that you kind of just don't even think about.
Me and Josh, if they ask where the first 15 minutes of the reception drinks are in their footage, then maybe they get told we were out fishing our car out.
Yeah, we weren't just slacking.
But the bride found it hilarious. I know she would. There's certain people you maybe wouldn't tell, or if you didn't have that relationship with them. But I was like, it's sorry, it's been raining, whatever. I'd fished my car out, and she's like, what? I was like, did no one tell you? She's like, no. And I showed her the video of me waddling through the water, and she cracked up. I was like, it's funny.
Again, you can laugh at it after the thing. Your car is on dry land and it's safe. Wild things though, isn't it? But I think that's a pretty good catch up, isn't it, of all of the crazy things that we've got up to.
Happened,
I think before we go, I think we should probably do a couple of shout outs. I think one, firstly, to Bride and Groom Video. We're in partnership with them. We haven't spoke loads about it, but I think that's something which at this height of season and people's editing piles are starting to rise, Bride and Groom Video could be your best friend.
Yes, so I've actually since obviously the last time we mentioned them, I've been using them. So I've used them over summer. Sent one of my films to them, and it was one of those where it was like, even if I edited it, I'm not sure how I would have sort of, because it was quite short ceremony, quite short speeches, and I was like, I don't know how I would make the vibe from this. So let's see how they get on with that, because for me, if I film a wedding and I'm like, this is 100% me, I want to personally take on that edit, and I know the vibe I'm going for it. But it's one of those where you sort of get home and you're like, I don't know how to, like, what I'm going to do to create this, put this puzzle together. And so it's really interesting to see them put it together and come back to me, and they smashed it.
Yes.
Yeah. And look, I'm not going to sit here and say it was 100% my style, but I will say they managed to get all of like the main bits in. They created a story out of it. That's the main thing as well. When an editor can't create a story out of your speeches, and they don't take that effort to go through and pick bits out and actually create a story out of it, that makes a huge difference.
You almost learn from the footage you've given them. They've watched it and absorbed it to go, okay, that's the important moments, rather than going, oh, there's 6 clips there, that'll do.
And it was the process as well. And a lot of couples say this about my, not to blow my trumpet, about my stuff, about the process that I give them. It's super easy. It's signing everything. Everything's really straightforward. You know, so you send off your film, you fill out the questionnaire, then you get like the first draft back, and you get to go onto the link, and you get to like click certain parts of the film and leave feedback on it. So there are a few shots that went a bit too quick for my liking, or bits that like I was like, that doesn't really suit my style. I filmed it, but I don't like it. You know, and they kind of assume that because you filmed the footage,
give them everything,
that you'd love it because you filmed it yourself. As some films I've filmed, and I'm like, that didn't work. That was just experimenting with it. And then you go back and you leave all these changes, and within a couple of days, it was literally probably 2 days it took them to make the changes, which is pretty good given that they've probably got lots of projects going on.
But also, you've got a lot of projects on. You're saying in the last month since we've spoken, if you've shot like 8 or 9 weddings, the consequence of that is that's days that you're not at your desk editing, and then also when you do get back to your desk, you've now got a mountain to get through. Where if you have, say, half of those weddings are like, no, these are getting like hand treatment because I know exactly what I want out of them. But others where you're like, I know they can do a good job. Having someone to take that heavy lifting out, keep your editing time at sensible delivery. It's not grasping into loads because you've had to glut all at once. Like bride and groom video, there definitely are going to really help you out, aren't they? Yeah, they've been great. And I'm very happy with the edit. Sent it off to the couple the other day. I know it's been seen, they haven't replied yet, but that's just kind of like, this time of year anyway. I had a clump of weddings in May, and it's been really nice to get them like offloaded and have one gone, so that I can like update that sort of queue and that schedule. I genuinely recommend them to anyone, even though obviously we're in partnership with them. It's a partnership, not a sponsorship, so they're not paying us to say that. We do recommend them, and we do have a link in our description. And we will leave that in the description. And I think if you do sign up, there is something in it for you guys, isn't there? You kind of get some money for your first film, I think. If you sign up with that link. You do get a kickback from that because it's a bit of an affiliate, but which will help us keep us in meal deals and prevent making this podcast for you. Keeps the pod going. And then I think in last things, another one not sponsored but just want to endorse is that we have also got a little offer for you from Mr. Roo, haven't we? Mr. Roo Films himself, creator of Coda, and all round nice guy, fellow Baldy, and and previous podcast guest as well. I think we get 3 now, Kirsty and love it. Shout out to them. So Roo obviously has his new course out at the moment called Cheat Code. I've had a chance to look at it, and I can safely say it is. I would have loved to have. It is literally a cheat code, I thought the name was great, but after actually watching some of the videos and that kind of thing, I'm about halfway through it now, and I would have absolutely loved to have had that when I started up. And I've said on this podcast before, one of the things that I regret most when I started is not getting into education, thinking I could do it all myself, not buying anything, and actually just trying to use YouTube, which is great but just not good enough. And watching these videos that Roo has on his course, anything from the gear that he uses to like specific ceremony camera positioning for if you've got one camera, if you've got 2 cameras, if you've got 3 cameras, that stuff is stuff that it takes a lot of weddings to learn the optimum position for cameras and focal lengths and what to set on to manual focus and everything. But it's also stuff which will make an incremental difference in how you film. I love conferences, don't get me wrong, I'm a big champion of going to conferences. I love sitting in that kind of room and seeing people at the top of their game show me what they've made. And in terms of inspiration and wonder and kind of just kind of filling your cup, that stuff is great. But when you turn up at a wedding and you're not at the wedding with the black sand and the volcano and the rest of it, and that inspiration's lacking, to have something there which is very practical, going, I've got 2 cameras in my bag, I need to use both of them to film this ceremony the best way it can.
Yeah.
And then you've got kind of a little brew in your ear going, stand that one there, stand that one there, these are your settings, and crack on. Like, that is going to make big differences to the weddings that you are photographing now.
Yeah, 100%.
Not the kind of wonder and inspiration for the future.
And yeah, he's very realistic with it as well. Like you say, like the videos I was watching on YouTube when I started were videos of Americans filming at massive venues, and I go to the premiere and be like, what am I supposed to do here? But it's very realistic, the sort of venues you'd get in the UK, the whole process from start to finish, all these little details. And look, I think if you're sort of like if starting your career or you're midway through your career, you need some inspiration, like, it's great value, there's tons in it. Like, I'm sure there's little bits that I've picked up, and as I finish it and go through it, there'll be more that I pick up from it. I feel like most of it's stuff that I've learned over the years, but really wish that I'd done this so that I could leapfrog all of that learning process.
Which again takes that cheat code thing to a new level, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is, you know, the idea of when you're a kid playing your PlayStation and you run out of materials playing whatever, you put a code in and you get loads of it. It's like you've taken a decade of mistakes and adventure and journey to get to the skills that you've got now, where if you could have taken a brisk leap over those first 3 years of those mistakes and learning on the job, because you had someone at that level giving you an actual kind of open look into how they do things.
Yeah. I could have easily skipped the first year or 2 of my pricing increases had this course been around. And don't get me wrong, there are other courses as well. Obviously, Lawson's and Adam have got them, and it's good to like have a shop around and that kind of thing. But I do think, like it's going to elevate someone's career. And he's been very kind and offered our podcast listeners £100 off. What
a guy! What a guy!
So if you do go onto Rue's course cheat code and type in WCC 100. Which again we'll put in the description so that you'd have to remember that, and then you'll get £100 off cheat code.
Okay, then see,
and, fully recommend
we're giving you knowledge, we're saving you money, and entertaining you at the same time.
What else do you want?
What more could you want from the podcast? That's it. So hopefully that you've taken a look into our lives. You've been as busy as us, and maybe you've got some stories of your own about weddings. If your car almost flooded away, then let us know in the comments.
Yeah, we love it when people message us. If you've got any topics as well, because we've got a couple of topics lined up that we really want to do that have actually come from people who've been at weddings this year. And obviously the industry changes a lot, and people come to us and they say, you know, is this normal, or just you know, can you talk about this on the pod, because I want to know what people think.
If you excuse the pun, the next one we've got a little bit spicy as well, isn't it? So it's a little bit controversial. So I think that might be our next episode as well, or in the next couple.
The next 1 or 2,
so that's going to be about, like, is content like blown up? Is there too much content now? Is there too much need for content now?
We're not talking about content creation in particular, but every supplier needs content. And the biggest thing I've heard this year is, why does every supplier need content? It's becoming a bit of a...
Or does everyone feel the need to make their own content?
So we want to have a chat about that, and that's going to be a fun one.
And again, so we've definitely caught up and taken that, and that is a topic of its own. So maybe if you have opinions about that and you want to get them in before we hit record on that episode, that would be useful again, so we can hear not only our opinions and the things that we've heard, we can kind of get, you know, the whispers from the trees as well, what the word on the ground is about.
That's a good thing. Maybe we should do that more often, like just tease a few episodes and be like, if you've got something to say about this, maybe let us know and we can put it in the episode. So
because again, when we did the voice note episode, I love shouting people out there, the people that listened, and again, hearing their kind of opinions on the topics that we talk about. So maybe if you do have an opinion on that and you want to just type something out or drop us a little voice note, then we would love to kind of hear your views on that as well.
Yeah, perfect.
Amazing. Yeah.
All right, well, it's been great. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And we'll
see you next
one.
Yeah.